webinar today of just-in-time merchandise. So you can see that we have old Tony Bennett here singing just in time so we can kind of get the party started. So let's move ahead a little bit to our next slide. And so I am Karl Busche. Right now I'm the merchandise manager for Knott's Berry Farm, America's first theme park in Southern California. To give you a perspective, we're 6 miles from Disneyland, and we opened approximately 40 years before Disney even showed up. So Knott's Berry Farm has been here for a long time. And basically, Mr. Knott invented the boysenberry. So that's why if we ever talk a lot about boysenberry, it's because he invented the boysenberry, and he was always in the jam and jelly business. Over the years, I have worked for 15 different companies, everything from department stores to gift shops to Hallmark. And I have, if you see all the logos on there, my last job was working for Event Network, which was a nonprofit. We worked with nonprofits as the revenue share for zoos, aquariums, science centers, and traveling shows around the country. So and then I also worked at Universal Studios during the openings of Islands of Adventure in Florida. And I have wrote a couple books, and I wrote a children's book about my corgi. So we have done that. So also during this session, if you have any questions, you can just please put them in the Q&A or chat session, and they're going to throw me the question as kind of in time, so we can kind of answer those questions you might have as we go. So with that being said, let's start. So I think I can sum up the future of retail in 2 words, and those 2 words are pivot and execute. I think what's going on right now in retail has given us a hard new direction for which to go, and probably even an old direction that we have thought about for a long time, but never really was going to go all in. And guess what? We all have to go all in now. So I'm going to kind of lead you to what we're thinking and what we're doing in this type of industry, and if it may or may not. And yes, are we going to get to just in time? Yeah, but this is kind of the way that we're going to do it. So here we go. So I believe that first thing that we have to do is pivot hard. I think what we learned from COVID-19 is, it pushed online shopping ahead about 10 years. Those who were not even thinking about it, or like us, we had, I'm part of a 17 theme park chain, and we were the last man standing having a website. And here this thing comes around, and I went from having little sales, once in a while sales, some gems and jellies going out once in a while, to hundreds of thousands of dollars within 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, and even if you went to knotts.com now, you'd be like, this is not a great website. And all I can say is you're correct. And it just doesn't matter, because people are still buying, but it's what they're buying, how they're consuming us is the big thing. One of the things that we have found, since we're not open, all the theme parks in California are not open at all. We do food festivals, so no entertainment, no rides. Customers can come in and they can experience the food festival, sit at a lot of park tables around the whole place. And we've been doing food festivals, a few days a week for the last since we closed in March. We keep changing up the theme and that sort of thing, but it's just trying to keep them kind of enticed and coming in, and they have, because Disney's not open, and we're 6 miles from them, so we're picking up on some of that. So what we are seeing is we kind of see this as the end of general merchandise assortments as we kind of know it, because the thing is the customers are looking for very specific things. And the broader statement of what we're seeing is, or how we're thinking about, is the future is a highly curated, narrow assortment targeted to a specific demographic, wrapped in a compact, experiential, immersive retail environment. Okay, so I wrote that kind of long. Or a highly interactive online experience. And that's the thing, that picture that you're seeing there, that's That's in the Galaxy's Edge over at Disney. And that store is about 30 feet long. It's about 18 feet deep, and it's highly curated assortment that for that super fan of that Star Wars, of that genre, that sort of thing. And that's kind of when you're looking at what we think is going on, that is kind of the model, but we also have to bring in the entertainment. We have to relate to them. So now what we're thinking of is who is our customer now? And that's what our big thing is. So what we found, or what we're seeing out with all the other people that I talk to, is I talk to a lot of people in the business, is it's about the super fans. It's that core customer. It's, well, we used to run the Titanic traveling shows. I went around the country and had the Titanic, and they had the ice wall and put the name on the ice wall and all that jazz. And we had it, and we had people that would follow the Titanic, and we called them foamers. I mean, these people were just like, oh my God, it's just like that. Oh my God, there's the broken cup, and oh my God, I was, and it's that oh my God customer that you see in like super locations like Disney. Disney has amazing super fans and that sort of thing, but it's the core customer that's keeping us going. About 10 years ago, a Wired magazine editor basically wrote a thing about the theory of the 1,000 raging fans. And in that was kind of like about 10 years ago, the blogs and all that were coming out, and people were kind of putting out their ideas and the kind of the Etsy sort of thing, this is what I can do, and these are my, how can you monetize those little super fans? How can they monetize those super fans? And I think the biggest thing with a lot of that is that how, and I still get phone calls, how that is, how can you do that? So let's look at his ideas. So when we're basing some of the things that we're looking at, which is the collectible business here at Knott's, we're looking at the theory of the 1,000 super fans. So first you pick your target, and which is your core customers. And then when you're doing the retail calculation, it's like, okay, I want to make an extra $1 million. Okay, I'm going to take my 1,000 raging fans, and then I'm going to say, okay, each one of those is going to buy $1,000, and that's $1 million. And that's great little simple math and that sort of thing. But what you have to do is keep breaking it down, breaking it down, breaking it down. So when we look at that, you're looking at basically your customer, the gender, the age, what's the visitation, what's the repeat rate on that, what's their spend, what's your average sale. And the first big obstacle is $1,000 a fan. I mean, I work in a play. Disney sells shirts for $50. I sell shirts for $15. That sort of thing. So you have to kind of break it up. So when I was looking at this, because this is a lot based on a collectible pin program that I started, and I ran one at Universal Studios, and it wasn't that successful. Here, it was instantly successful. And that gave me the idea, was like, okay, if we're going to do something like this, I have to give them a mission. I can't just show, at Universal, I showed all my pins on the wall, and I had 100 pins on the wall, and people just saw once and bought some, and that was it. This time I gave them a mission. I broke it up. Every week I produce a brand new pin. And, it's one of those things. So I'm looking at $10 a week for X amount of weeks to keep this going. And that's, kind of the idea as when you're looking at this theory. So what my other obstacle is, or my solution, is collectibles, but you were also starting it with new items, kind of like these, when the masks become, this is like putting a boysenberry pie on your face and all that. Well, this sort of thing, or cause merchandise. And then we had that whole thing started, and then COVID hit, and then the stores closed. So now I had to pivot customers to the web store, and that sort of thing. And we didn't have a great web store. So the next thing we had to do was partner with marketing by giving them, theme-based, story-based merchandise. And, like all my pins are all based on a story. I've got, story cards on the back, and there's a story of what this is. Because a lot of people, this is not Disney. Basically I'm a ghost town. I got, I got undertakers, and I got this thing called a catawampus, and I got donkeys and stuff like that. So, I have no Mickey Mouse, that sort of thing. So, but I have those people that would do anything. There's people around that. This thing's called a catawampus. This is basically a carved piece of wood. And there's a man that has this catawampus thing tattooed on his back. And he's joined a group of these people called the Catawampers, and they're all about it. And he bought like 30 of these pins, and we said thank you. So it's that sort of thing. That's what you're trying to do, and you're trying to get that happening on the website, and you're really playing to your base, and that's kind of the idea. And you can use this to basically create bundles and online specials and that sort of thing. And you have to give them hooks like lower shipping fees because of the Amazon issue and that sort of thing. So you have to do this. Now, when you're thinking about this kind of theory of trying to engage your base, you have to do the main thing, which is feed the beast. And you have to engage them. I'm engaging them weekly because when I started it, I didn't think it was going to be that hard, and it's challenging. I'm not going to say it because there is, I don't have an art department, and that's the thing. So I'm doing this all on my own. So you got to engage them weekly, or at least bi-weekly or monthly, and it's critical that you work with the marketing departments to do that. Is that easy? I worked with a lot of marketing departments for all the places I worked for before. And the thing is that you have to give them something. Think of your marketing department kind of like working for an editor at a newspaper. If it bleeds, it leads. If you've got a really good story, you have to go in there. So you really have to you got to pitch them. It's like, I didn't have to go crazy when I showed them these masks and that sort of thing. They were like, oh yeah, are you kidding? I love this thing. I want this thing. Yeah, did I get this online? Like that, I got this online because it's a story, get something to talk about. And that's when you're doing that, when you're doing stuff like this, you got to pitch them, and you got to become their friend. The thing is, this is, as this stuff is not going to sell itself now. We just can't rely on just 25% of our base walking in and hoping that they buy. So this is part of this thing. When we're talking just-in-time merchandise, we have to be very specific on what we're going to buy, because in just-in-time merchandise, it's great. You can fill in your gaps, you fill in your hot items that you have, you can fill in all that sort of thing, but you really have to think about what you're really going to use this for. So that's how I kind of constructed this.
Karl, we have a question.
Sure.
Someone said, where do you buy your pins from? I like that card.
I buy them from, and I have them on this slide with all the information. I buy them from a company called Souvenir Source. They're out of Canada. And, because I was going to do so many pins and that sort of thing, and I specifically wanted a story card sort of thing going on this sort of thing. So we created this, and I'll be more than happy to tell anybody, this is, and then this pin here is what they call a 14-point card. It's the regular thickness. I went up to a 40-point card, a really thick card that almost adds the collectability onto it, and my sales jumped. So the thing is that there's a lot of pieces to this pin business, but if you're looking at it, I just took a picture of the building, a picture of the thing, and that sort of thing. So I work with Souvenir Source up there, and their information is on there. So, and I can talk pins all day, but my big thing in life, if we were going to do it, I would put everybody into the pin business, because if you get all these people really looking for pins, it kind of, ground swells up, it's almost like almost a perfect collectible, but it has to be done right. So that's my answer, I guess.
Thank you, Karl. And actually, Souvenir Avanti did a live demo yesterday. So if you go watch their live demonstration video on the marketplace, you'll also get to hear more about specific products, but as well as their discount that they're giving until the end of today. So just a little fun fact.
I mean, I better be getting that discount. I mean, I'm up to 45 pins with them at this point.
There you go. You can go watch it too.
I'm going to do that. Let's see. Okay, so what are they looking for? Well, our experience, they're looking for you. They're looking for, they're not, that's why I said it's kind of the end of general merchandise. It's, I know the friends down at the San Diego Zoo, they're looking for your stuff. I mean, that picture of all those masks underneath, they're not looking for that generic Etsy stuff. They're looking for, those are all our monsters and all those things, the green witch and the green monster and all this junk. So they're looking for us, and that's what that group is looking for, and those are the people that are. That's what we're doing. Saying what not. And the other thing is, why should we have to give them a reason to buy? That's the merchandise there is from the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and that from I think it was designed by one of the Packard family, the heavy contributors, or they actually started the place. And the thing is that it has to be about the mission or your collection, your custom ideas. Even if you have your own store, you kind of have to create your ownness on this. And I have some ideas on how you have to do, if you don't have kind of, you have more of a general store, how to do it, because I did this before someplace else. So that's a story for just a bit forward in the presentation. So the big question is, and this is going to be, it's not the big fight, but it's going to be the big thing that you're going to need to do is, how are they finding out what's going on in your store or on your site? Well, you have to work through the marketing department to do it. If you look at this one thing where it has Disney and Disney on the right side, Disney in history, we do knots in history, a dated piece like that, that was something that happened 30 years ago, and now it's their anniversary of the coal car coming in or whatever. And aligning your merchandise assortments to launch when something like this always helps, because this also gives you, like what marketing is going to do a little piece, you can have a little bit of merchandise. If you have some short run stuff that you can add in, some short run t-shirts, short run magnets, mugs, little tchotchkes, that sort of thing will help your sales and also bring people in the store, because you are aligning to their mission, you're aligning to what they're promoting, I guess. And then, the thing is, and everybody is showing merchandise. I mean, Legoland, Disney, of course, and Disney has the luxury of having, well, in the collectible business, you have people that just like to collect things from, their favorite place. It could be at the Henry Ford, be it Knott's Berry Farm, be it whoever. And then you have the collectors, and then there's a fine line in the collectible business. It's called covet. And when people covet something, that's where you get the super fans in there, the bloggers who are Disney bloggers. They are coming in when they have the new items at Disney, or the first ones there. They're taking pictures of it. They're doing all the marketing for Disney themselves. So we even have our own blogger, base that we deal with and that sort of thing. Our little super fans that want to promote our message, in that. So that's something that your marketing department is probably aware of. How can I get to some of your fan bloggers? If not, if there is such a thing in your organization, but it's an interesting idea. But and some of our best bloggers are people that work here. They really show our merchandise off, and that helps a lot. So let's get into some of the vendors that we're talking about. So one of the big things is apparel and caps are one of the big things in the this kind of business. Apparel, and this is not just t-shirt apparel. It can be all the different types of apparel that's out there. And what's happened is we're in Southern California, and we were buying up from a lot of vendors that were in Florida. And because there is a lot of printers and that sort of things in Florida, it is a no tax state. So you get things that are a little bit more inexpensive. And then they have some pretty good artists there. The trouble is, when you take that shirt and you move it all the way across the United States, it is the freight costs are just climbed and skyrocketed. What's happening right now is a lot of these guys, so we'll take Charles Product, for instance. Charles Product just got into, everybody's getting into the shirt business. And and Glenn from Charles Product and Austin from Charles Product is like, I said, well, that's great, but I'm not going to pay freight all the way from, you know, Baltimore to, you know, bring in a t-shirt. It's ridiculous. It's not, you know, your art is great. So a lot of them are partnering with regional printers so they can do the regional printing. I get my, you know, I get my shirts at the price I need or a little bit lower than what I would get if I had to add the freight to it. And it sounds crazy, but that's what's going on. And it's, the people that I have on this spreadsheet right here, you know, Austin and Mikkel and Kyle, these are people that you can call. They have good art departments and they have the ability to make shirts and mugs and a lot of different things. And so these are the kind of these guys that you can use to, you know, help you along. Charles has been around for a long time, but now that they've branched out. But also, if you look at the bottom there with United Souvenir, they have also they expanded their apparel lines and that sort of thing. So that kind of helps. So my big thing is try to regionalize your buy, because you really don't just buy because you fall in love with somebody's art department. You can always, oh, I don't know, use the word knock them off anyway. But it's, you know, we've all done things like that. So look at that. Caps. The business of caps is going to better embellishment. I mean, there's a certain thing about getting a certain style of hat and the brim of the hat that is a certain way, but the embellishment is what sells the cap, obviously, like that. We're finding with people like Kyle from Impact Merchandise and even Charles, they have the ability to get caps in a few weeks flown over with very high stitch counts, cheaper than they get them here and that sort of thing, and they can throw them on a plane. And if I was, you know, if I'm still doing, you know, I still do a lot of caps because I do a lot of promos and that sort of thing, or, you know, festivals and stuff. So, but people just don't want, you know, a cheap looking cap, you know, just like, you know, putting it on. So I would look at least asking some of these questions of a lot of people, because the souvenir and the short run business is, everybody's kind of consolidating as the business goes down. So the big are getting bigger and they're becoming more vertical on the things that they can do. So that's why I'm giving you some examples of one of this. And it's, you know, why you're saying, well, why don't you go for lone rock and that sort of thing? Well, you want to have kind of a variety of items available to use on that merchandise. You know, the thing is, we know that Charles Products is an ASI, PPAI vendor, so they have a large, so they can take their art and put it onto a variety of products. So you kind of have to kind of work it that way and see what kind of pricing. And because Glenn has that, you know, ability to use the distributor pricing on that. Remember, ASI and PPAI vendors their markup is 40% up. And they're all made domestically. So the thing is that, and this is probably a different conversation for a different day, but that is something that it's negotiable. So you know that so people like Glenn, there's negotiating room in there. So when you see the first price, you could talk them down a bit. Let's put it that way. We're all buyers, we know this. Anyway, this is Express. Express is basically everybody's decorator. They are a very large vertical kind. You see them at the shows and that sort of thing, but Charles, everybody uses Express to do decorated mugs and drinkware. They are the people to use. They have the best sublimation, you know, art, and the way their ability to wrap the mugs and their choices of blanks is amazing. You can't, the thing is, you can't regionalize this. I mean, this is one of those things where it's still coming from across the country, but it comes out perfect. It's, you know, the thing is, I use them for all 100 stores at an event. I mean, because if you look at, you know, like it's not Freddy Krueger, whoever that guy with the knife and that sort of thing. I mean, I had that kind of art level when I was doing like Hunger Games and different things, and you want to really show it off like that, because there is still, like, especially in the shot glass business, if you're talking about businesses that still are out there that works. Mugs people always buy, people collect shots. So it's one of those things that is still out there and still people buy. They have a way to do a lot of different types of merchandise on this. You know, when you're getting into the drink containers and all that sort of thing, that the prices are getting higher, but there's still a collectability. It depends on your demo. These kind of 70s inspired 80s, if you ever, well, I'm old as the hills, but I mean, you sort of gas stations were able to kind of collect these sort of mugs and that sort of thing, and they brought these things out. We're going to be doing a series of these kind of mugs because it has that collectability. They're not a cheap date, but these are not high MOQs. Everything I'm showing you this is from their domestic inventories, and that they do imports and stuff, but like 90% of their business is all done domestically. So this is a domestic vendor that you can really do well from. Now we're going to take a little turn here. We're going into, you're like, oh no, not a magnet. But this is Idea Man. These are the guys that do those retro plastic 2- and 3-dimensional magnets. Been around forever. I know what you're saying, but these things online for add-on sales, upsells, and bundles, when you're trying to find different ways to entice the customer. I used to work for the Home Shopping Network. So at Home Shopping, I would buy, like, I was like the Brookstone buyer. I'd be buying, that's like the Casio Magic Light keyboard. Well, everybody sold the Magic keyboard. Well, if you bought it on HSN, I would give you an extra song book. I would give you a bench. I would give you a pedal. I don't know what the pedal did, but it gave you the pedal. So you just added all this stuff. You're like, okay, I'm going to buy. So you get the stapler and this thing and that. So you add the bundle, and you have the whole bundle for $19.99, and you add the perceived value. So it's an enticement to sell. Bundling online is, I think, one of the things that we're all going to be working on. This sort of high look kind of magnet. If you have something that you can use this for, this magnet sells amazing. I mean, it's like, you don't need a magnet wall of these, but what you do need is you need some of these. I think it's just a high res. That National Cathedral one, oh my God, I sold tons of that thing. So, okay, so this is going back into the day. So we ran the Royal Ontario Museum in Canada, went to the Canadian gift shows, walked into this booth and saw this is from Polar Magnetics. And so I saw them, and their magnets are dimensional. So it's like a probably compressed wood or something like that. Really nice quality and that sort of thing. There was people in the United States that were selling these as if they were imports to various people around. And as we picked up more locations for the event, I was noticing that these people like, wait a minute, these are made in Canada. I was like, so this is the direct source for this. They do stickers very well. They actually do new brown thing up on the right side of the top. Those are their new wood stickers. I'm really big on stickers right now. Stickers because they're all going on water bottles, they're going on computers and all that. So a extensive sticker library. The nice thing about the thing to do when you're doing like stickers, either in wood or the regular reusable stickers, is you have to make sure that you have a header on them. I mean, like a header so you can actually put them on hook. I know people like, oh, we'll just stick them in these trays and that sort of thing. No, don't stick them in the damn trays. Basically, what you want to have them, because they get bent and all that sort of thing, what you want to have them is up on walls and stuff. And you want to have a kind of a dramatic thing, and then you want to have a little faux computer there so you can show them how to do it. The sticker business is a big thing that I'm going at. But this guy here from Magnet Stickers and those little Christmas ornaments and stuff, they do great state series. So there's a lot of. So you're looking at things very, oh my God, the state series, what a bore. But you could take things and make these very dimensional. I had all the Harry Potter magnets done with this guy, and they were able to put insets in them and reliefs on the front. It's a great vendor. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. There you go. Impact. Impact Photographics is kind of like the granddaddy of the panomagnet. They do regular magnets and panomagnets. I'm doing a whole thing of magnets using, because I have a lot of full color magnets I have, because I can use a lot of the artwork that I did. And anyway, so I'm going to do 100. I'm going to do 100 magnets or so. The nice thing, and the right reason we use a lot of Impact, is because on the back they can give full color explanation. They can do a full, all the verbiage on it in the back. So it brings the collectability up. These are the National Park Service guys. They know all this jazz. So, and they also have stickers. So, and this is all made in USA. So if you do regular magnets, panomagnets, and stickers, and they're the king of the postcards. Also, if you ever need binoculars, yeah, I got binoculars. Oh, it's really great binocular. Anyway, this is United Souvenir. The one thing is they have their own facility to lay in these name drops and that sort of thing. And you're always looking for kind of a different mug. We're always looking for kind of what different mug can we be doing. This is one of the vendors that we use for the different mugs. Souvenir Avanti, yes, I didn't do a whole deck of all my pins. Go to knots.com to see them on a really bad website, but it's or on our Instagram page. But he has the ability to use so many of the different basically methods, right now, because the hard enamel method right now is a very big thing with the young kids. You probably might have seen this place called Blizzard Pins, and they're doing a lot of short rim pins. But those are not, they look like hard enamel, but they're not as hard as they need to be. So some of the processes need to be done. Tony can do them up in Canada, and he has this other thing called Digiprint that, this is Digiprint. So basically you can have a regular full color image, and then it has a relief on it. So it's basically a metal pin molded. He's laying the image on top of the mold, so you get a dimensional piece. So it works, it's kind of one of those things. So, and he does all the, and that blue background works extremely well. He did a lot of that. So, I'm all, I have no interest in Tony, but if this is a great line, what can I say? Okay, this is Peter from Souvenir Source. This is a plaque program. Everybody should be buying this plaque program. This sells like, you can't even believe. Okay, you have to buy 720 these little plaques. He puts it on all these different types of mugs, and it's mix and match and that sort of thing. So you got mugs and shots and different looks. And he's not going to make you, buy them. You don't buy them all at once. You just buy the stuff, you buy, he makes the plaques, and then you just, bring them in as you need them. Basically kind of a pull and pay thing. It works so well. It is, it's the easiest way to do custom merchandise without even blinking. Yes, those are import mugs. They're nice mugs. Will he work on price? Yeah, tell Peter that. He'll say, yeah, what are you on mine? He'll got it way expensive. Okay. So if one of the biggest things, I used to work for a company called Coach House Gifts, 300 stores around the nation, just a crazy clown car gift shop chain, so it was kind of a fun place. But each and every store had a state series in it. And we had nice stores and we had not so nice stores. This is Art Studio. He has state series, nice scarves and coats and a lot of different items and tea towels and all that sort of thing. It's worth a look, because other than at an event where I had this in a lot of stores here, I live in California. I did the California series. And the thing what people don't realize is that if people who live in a state, when they go out of town, remember when we used to do something like travel? We used to go traveling to different places. We would take some of this, my stuff from California to the places that they traveled to. It's been working for years, that sort of thing. So it's an idea that you should think about. Of course, you can use Art Studio, you can use anybody you want, but he has a lot of it, and he has a lot of different ideas in it, and it's just something round out an idea. If you need ideas, it helps. Of course, he does Day of the Dead. I'm really big on Day of the Dead because I have a whole Fiesta Duology. Day of the Dead is like, it's a crazy theme that never seems to die. So fun. Dead. Anyway, we'll just keep moving on. Anyway, so this is, so here's some of the questions are, who's your customer now? Who are your super fans? How are you going to connect them? What do they want? Which is going to be the hard one. How you can direct them to the sale. How can you be like a little kid and say, honey, you got to look over here. You got to direct to the sale. And then how to entice them with web, exclusive upsells and bundles. Those take a little difference, but it is a big draw. And you have to give them a reason not to say no or click away. So that's why you have to build those things up. On the vendor side, ask to split the cost of the artwork. If you're buying it, do what everybody else does, ask for a freight cap, and then, will they pull and pay? Will you manufacture something and I can do a third? Will you kind of do that for us? There's a lot of tricks of the trade. I've been doing this for like 40 years and probably too many tricks of the trade. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can email me, get back to me, however Clarion would like that. And I'm always willing to talk. I always can talk about vendors and stuff. So they give you some ideas. I hope this helps. And if you need anything, just ask. So thank you guys very much.
Do we have any other questions at the moment? You can put them in the Q&A or the chat. So. It looks like Debbie was raising her hand, so I'm going to let her talk and let her ask.
Okay.
Debbie, if you had a question, it looks like you're permitted to talk now if you would like to ask.
Debbie?
I accidentally hit that, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, come on, Debbie, come up with a question.
I don't know. I grew up down in Southern California, so going to Knott's Berry Farm as a child, which is much different than it is now. So I just find it interesting how you've changed it all. And I've seen a lot of my friends posting from your food festivals. And I'm thinking that I need to come down there to one and see what you're doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, the food festival thing is so interesting because, I mean, we usually just do it for Boysenberry Festival. That's how it all started. But then since we're allowed, because of all the restaurants and stuff, to open just if we only do food festivals, we were surprised that people kept coming over and over again. So, because we're still dealing with the same group of people, but I think part of it is because Disney is closed, that sort of thing. So.
It is because a lot of my friends are Disney people.
Yeah.
And so they need someplace to go. So that's where they're going.
Yeah. But, and downtown Disney, you can only do that so much. I mean, they're not fully open as well.
Right.
So wait, do you have a store?
We do. I'm in Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks.
Oh. Okay.
So we have very small stores. Right now, our visitation is very low because we've had fires and it's been smoky, and we've opened and closed and opened and closed. And we have 2 stores of our 3 stores that are open year round open right now, and it's slower than in a normal year at this time. So I'm looking for ways to expand things and new products and stuff like that.
Well, hopefully I gave you some idea. If you have any questions on looking for a specific item, because it's like that sort of thing. But if you ever were going to, and I know I'm talking pins too much, but if you ever just made something like this for that, I bet this would sell extremely well online for you. You know, just to have a single one saying, you know, kind of, you know.
Yeah, we do have a series of pins and patches that we sell, and we have shirts. We have an online store, which we were able to open that up at the towards the end of April, and it was doing quite well. It's been doing better than it has in past years. So
Well, we were surprised too about ours. We were just, it was dead in the water and boom. So
yeah.
yeah. Well, just keep feeding the beast, as they say. You just have to come up with new stuff. It sounds
Right.
horrible, but that's just.
Yeah, our problem is financially, our stores are basically our income, and without them being open, it's hard to go out and find new merchandise.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're trying to balance that out.
Yeah, that's always the big thing, because we all fight that, you know. It's like, so, but you know, what can you do? So
Yeah.
well, keep going. That's all I can say. So
Yep.
thank you very much.
Thank you. It looks like we have another question. So I'm going to allow Lily to ask hers.
Hi, Lily.
Hi. My question was that now that you have identified your super customers, what do you do to keep them motivated? Do you keep them on a separate list? Or do they sign up for new product in advance of everyone else?
No, we don't do, you know how we do it is we use our company Facebook page and Instagram and that sort of thing. And we basically just put out the items. Now, you know, the old days, you would just put it out into kind of like send out email blasts and that sort of thing. Now you just put it out on the basically different social media, primarily Instagram and for us and Facebook work. So like they'll have this pin go out, we launch them on Friday, available on Saturday, and that's how we started it. And people used to come to the park and line up and buy the pins. Now they just buy them online, or they can basically drop by too. We also have the curbside pickup that they can do if they want. And that's how we talk about the pins or the masks. The masks, once we started putting the masks online, they would just come and we would just give, here's the mask for this week, here's the mask for next week, here's the, you know, so we don't give it to them all at once, but
Okay.
we do it, everything, we give it one at a time. So like, this was last week's pin, this was 3 weeks ago, and then we put them in the stores and stuff, and then we put them online. But we give them a little story every week with that, and so, you know, and that keeps them going. And I think what the thing that we found out, if you don't keep going on like social media doing it, then they get tired, you know, they won't react to it. But if you do it on a consistent weekly basis, that's the key. You know,
So
go ahead.
are you the one that posts it, and do they see your face and voice, or do you have an influencer?
No, we use influencers for mostly the food stuff, you know, where they come in and they, you know, say, oh my God, the churros are really amazing this week or something. For my stuff, they just posted like a picture, kind of like if we went back on, just going back a little bit on the thing here, it's, if you look at that one media page I have, so if you see that, well, the one with the one they didn't show. But anyway, there's one that just shows the mask. So like this one here that shows the mask. We just put all the masks out on, and we say, here's our Fiesta, you know, those are festival merchandise, and we just put a picture on it, and then we put a link onto the Instagram or Facebook site to do it.
Okay.
That's how we do it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Carl. And Lily for the question. It doesn't look like we have any other questions at the time.
Okay,
So thank you so much for speaking. We really appreciate it.
no problem. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.